Hey guys, it is Arika Misha. Thank you so much for clicking on today's video. And yes, I made it in spite of. I made it here to do what God has called me to do. Today, as you guys can see by the title, This Little Light of Mine. Let me read my notes. We all know that song, This Little Light of Mine, I'm Gonna Let It Shine. I can remember being a little kid and learning this song. It made me feel so special. The song still makes me feel special. I never really understood it until I got older and got closer to God. The light of God that is within me is the light that needs to shine in this dark world. God gives us light to let it shine all over the world. We should not be ashamed of God. Luke 9th chapter in the 26th verse, Jesus said, "If you be ashamed of me, I will be ashamed of you." So I want to let my light shine bright every day. Yes, this is what God was talking to me about. God was talking to me about my light, my spiritual light, my godly light. God was talking to me about letting my light shine no matter where I go. And it's not that, wherever I go, I've got, a sign over my head that says I live for God, da 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 da. God is talking about the light that he gives us, the light within, the light of Christ, that's within, that shows on the outside. And God was talking to me about we shouldn't be ashamed, to be his children. We shouldn't be ashamed to be God's chosen ones. God was talking to me about not being ashamed of being who he has made us to be, And a lot of times, I can remember growing up. I can remember, going to church, of course. I've shared that here on my platform before. I can remember growing up in the church, and I can remember a lot of my friends, going to hang out at each other's house, hanging out, and I can remember, wanting to go to my friends' houses, but I had, this is growing up, wanting to go to my friends' houses, but I couldn't because I had to go to church, and I can remember, going through that phase in my life, I must have been about 6, maybe 7. I can remember maybe a little older, maybe about 8 or 9. I can remember going through that phase where, I didn't really share with my friends that, I went to church a lot. I would hide it. I wouldn't really talk about it. Like my friends would say, "Oh, how come you couldn't do this? How come you couldn't do that?" I would always say, "Oh, I was busy. My family was busy." I would make up excuses. I would hide the fact that we were in church Monday through Monday. Yeah. So, I would hide that fact, So, it was like I was ashamed of going to church all the time and, not being able to, do what the other little kids were doing and go when they were going. And, I went through that phase, But I learned, of course I learned as I grew up, to not be ashamed of God, not to be ashamed of the gospel. I had to learn that, It's not like I was 25 years old, I was a little kid, and I went through that phase. But, a lot of times we as adults are ashamed. I'm not saying me. I went through that phase when I was younger. But I'm just saying, a lot of times we can be, ashamed of the gospel. We can be, sometimes people like to hide the fact that they read their Bible, they go to church, they live for God. And, I've met some people, that, talking to them, they've shared with me, that they say, "Oh, well, I'm not a holy roller. I don't go around telling everybody da da da." I said, "No, I understand what you're saying, but we as God's chosen ones, we as God's children, they should be able to see our light. They should be able to know that, that we are children of Christ. It's just in the way we walk, in the way we talk, it's just what God gives us. It's what God puts in us, It's like, your light should always be shining, and nothing should dim your light. And that's what God was talking to me about. The light of Christ. Having that light of Christ. Having that glow of Christ. That spirit of Christ, Not that we're all walking around, shiny and bright like a diamond, shining bright like we've got lights all around us. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is, you know what I mean. The light of Christ, the spirit of Christ on us, I've been in places. I mean, I know firsthand, speaking from my own spiritual experience, I know firsthand I've come across people, I've ran into people in the grocery store, wherever. I've ran into people, and it's like my spirit senses that they are children of God before they even say anything to me. You know, my spirit tells me, oh yeah, he or she's a chosen one too. It's like my spirit knows. Our spirit should know. You know, we should know. And just, you know, even talking to people, you know, we should know. But that's what God wanted me to come and talk about. You know, that song, This Little Light of Mine, I'm going to let it shine. It came to my spirit when God was talking to me about not being ashamed, and we shouldn't be ashamed, and we need to let our light shine. Especially in a world where there's so much darkness, there's so much going on. Our lights need to shine bright as ever right now. I mean, I'm not just saying right now. Our lights should always be shining. But especially, we need to make sure that there is nothing dimming our lights. We need to make sure that light is always shining 100% as bright as it can. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And that's what God was saying to me. He was saying, always let your light shine. Always let your light shine. God said, even while you're going through. And when God said that to me, I understood exactly what he meant. Because a lot of times when we're going through things, you know, our light gets dim, you know, and we don't want to minister. We don't want to be there for people. We don't want to talk to people about God. We don't want to, you know, we don't want to do a lot because we're going through. But God has taught me, in spite of what I'm going through, I have to push my way through. I have to let my light shine. I have to be able to be there for people. No matter what I'm going through, I have to put what I'm going through to the side. Give that to God. Let God deal with that and do what God has called me to do. And that hasn't always been easy. That has not always been easy. But we have to let our light shine. We have to let our light shine in a world so dark. We have to let our light. We are the children of Christ. The world needs our light. We are here to shine God's light on this world. To where there is darkness, our light should be to brighten have the light of Christ to purge out the darkness, to get rid of the darkness. When we go into a dark place, our light should shine bright where there is no more room for darkness, because of the light that we carry when we walk in the room, when we walk into a situation, when we go into the grocery store. We walk in that store, we walk into that mall, wherever it is that we're walking in. When we walk in, should be just a spiritual light, just glowing. When you walk into a dark situation, a dark room, or where there's our light, the light of Christ, should be shining. That's what God wanted me to come and talk about today. Let your light shine. Let your light shine bright, so that wherever you go, there is no room for darkness. No room. What God was talking to me about, I'm just here sharing it. This is Arika Misha. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to go in the description box, guys. Click on that link to my second channel. Over there, I'm doing hair, makeup, nails, grocery shopping, cooking, DIY. It's just my life. It's just my life. God just has me sharing it that I may help someone, just like over here on my spiritual channel. Thank you guys so much for your love and your support. God bless. Bye.